Hi, John. How are you today?
Hi, Elliot. Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good too. So I saw today that the IRS put out its annual report that highlights its investigations. This came out of a criminal investigation group, and it's about law enforcement partnerships. Did you see that?
I did, and I've always been sensitive to the notion that I don't think enough of I think our community fully understands the value of IRS-CI in terms of financial crime prevention and detection, but the public doesn't always. So I think it's really important that we highlight when IRS is involved in something that impacts our community. As you know, obviously, on our advisory board, we have the former chief of IRS-CI, Don Fort, and he's been great about public-private partnership and the importance of working together. And you see those themes in this report. The report, people should go to the IRS website. We'll put it on our site as well. But there's a number of things, themes that they cover: COVID fraud, money laundering, cybercrime. Also, some from the various offices around the country, some of the cases there, some specifics. From the global perspective, this is something that Don actually started, and his successor, Jim Lee, has continued, and that's the IRS's alliance with what they call the Joint Chiefs of Global Tax Enforcement, the J5. And they work in a number of areas, but push hard on public-private partnership to deal with financial crimes in various places across the globe. So I thought that was interesting. That's highlighted in there. But also the case examples that are in there, very interesting. But as I said up front, the themes, the areas that they cover. The last thing I'll mention is, according to the press release, 2,500 criminal investigations with a 90% conviction rate. Pretty darn good in anybody's book.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. It's not pretty good. It's actually outstanding. I just think it's fascinating to see all the things that IRS-CI is involved in. You know, you think about tax enforcement, and a lot of people, I think, view that as a pretty narrow area.
Right.
But as a practical matter, because in the United States, any commercial or personal activity that generates anything defined in the tax code as income requires the payment of taxes, or at least the filing of a return to explain why you shouldn't. And so many other crimes that we talk about, frauds and thefts and all kinds of things, fall into IRS-CI's purview because of the taxation issue. And so they end up crossing into a huge number of areas that our community is interested in, because those funds have much more often than not, flowed through a deposit account or some other instrument in a bank, or other financial services company. So paying attention to what IRS-CI is doing, I think, is a smart thing and a valuable thing, because they're often really looking at stuff on the cutting edge. And it's important for all of our listeners and our colleagues to put them, right up there, to be honest, with FinCEN and, the FBI, and paying attention to them.
Yeah, in fact, in the sections of the report, they obviously go into tax crimes, but in the non-tax crime area, they highlight the fact that, as you just mentioned, while FinCEN's the agency that administers the Bank Secrecy Act, they have no criminal enforcement authority. So Treasury delegates that to IRS-CI. So CI actively reviews all the BSA data, and they make the statement, but we've heard many, many times before, they make the statement in the report that they are one of the largest law enforcement consumers of BSA data. And so we've always talked about the value proposition of the information. They clearly show that it's not only valuable, but it's essential to things that they do. So that's one. And then, another area that we've been paying attention to in the past year is corruption. And they investigate elected and appointed individuals who act in a corrupt manner. And, that is very important too. Obviously, the FBI does that as well. But, as they point out, corruption by public officials, impacts the loss of, or results in the loss of taxpayer dollars. So, to your point, there's a lot more that IRS does outside of tax, which is pretty important. They also say in the report that they've seized $3.5 billion in value of cryptocurrency, which is pretty amazing. I know they're fairly focused on that, and they have their own cybercrime unit as well. So just a lot that's going on there. I'm glad they're starting to get some of the resources that they need, but I think there needs to be more appreciation for what IRS-CI is able to do.
Agreed. And as we've been I think very vocal about the importance of public-private partnership. To the extent that opportunities arise to work with your local IRS-CI offices and team members, there's a lot of value there because, again, the breadth of what they do and their focus on things that are really specifically aligned with financial crime compliance and enforcement. So,
yeah, the last thing I'll mention to our global partners and clients around the world, IRS-CI has special agents attaches in 11 foreign countries. So there is clearly a global nexus to what they do. It's not all solely based on crimes committed in the United States.
Right. And that is valuable. Just like several other law enforcement agencies in the U.S. have foreign attaches because, as we've talked many times, crime doesn't really know any borders.
That's right.
So I'll do the first shameless plug. If you liked today's podcast, you can find other podcasts in this series and other podcasts that we've done on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. I also want to remind everybody that we're taking off next week, but we are going to publish or repost an archive edition. So if you can't go a Friday without hearing from John and I, there will be an archive edition available to you next week. And John, how about our next webinar?
The next webinar will be on December the 16th. It's going to deal with updates in the anti-human trafficking space. We'll have panelists from academia, the financial sector, and one of our great partners from Polaris. So look for that on December 16th. And then if you get an opportunity to go to our website, I recently did a 2-part podcast with a law professor and practicing lawyer, Tom Vartanian. He's got a book out about financial panics in the U.S., a sort of a historical look at those. We did it in 2 parts because he had so much information. I think you'll find that both interesting and valuable.
Okay, John, have a great weekend. And if I don't talk to you, have a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving.
Thanks. Same to you. Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.